The date is November 8th, 2018, and the time is, what time? 9:05. The location is Executive Inn and Suites, 1755 Embarcadero Bayside Room, Oakland, California, 94606. The board's paramount responsibility is to protect the health, welfare, and safety of the public through licensure, education, and enforcement in chiropractic care. Please be aware that this meeting is being audio and video recorded for live webcast. Please turn off or silence all cell phones. We will now take roll call. Dr. Azzolino, would you please call the roll?
Dr. Heather Dane?
Here.
Dr. Corey Lichtman?
Here.
Dr. Azzolino, myself, here. Mr. Ruffino?
Present.
Dr. McLean, we understand, will be a couple minutes late. And Dr. Gordon?
Here.
All members are present with the exception of Dr. McLean.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ruffino, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
We don't have a flag.
I know.
We'll pretend we have a flag, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's get everybody puts the water.
I'd like to now turn the meeting over to Judge Jill Schlitzman.
Thank you. All right, good morning. We are here today to review 3 petitions for reinstatement. A quorum of the board is present. My name is Jill Schlickman. I'm an administrative law judge with the Office of Administrative Hearings, and I've been assigned to sit with the board on these matters. The first matter that we're going to call is that of Arthur Habermann. Mr. Habermann, if you would come forward and have a seat at this table, please. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, this is in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of a revoked license filed by Arthur Habermann. This matter bears Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2018-091007, and board case number AC 2000-181. May I take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, members of the board. Leslie Brass, Deputy Attorney General with the Office of the Attorney General, appearing this morning pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Thank you. And Mr. Habermann, you're representing yourself here today, which is fine. I'm going to go over some of the procedures that we follow for your benefit. This proceeding concerns your rehabilitation, and so that is going to be the focus of the board, and so bear that in mind. Ms. Brass will begin by presenting your petition package and providing some background information. After that, you will have the opportunity to make your presentation. And keep in mind that the board has had the benefit of reading your petition package. You don't have to repeat everything that you've already told them. Just highlight the issues that you'd like them to focus on. Once the hearing is completed, then the board will go into closed session to deliberate. That will be after all 3 cases are heard. You will not receive a decision today, but you will receive one by mail shortly. Okay? All right. Ms. Brass, do you want to go forward and make your presentation? I already have the exhibits, so if you could identify them for me, that would be great.
Thank you, Your Honor. As you indicated, I've provided you with the petition packet. It includes the petition for reinstatement signed and dated July 29, 2016, and supporting documentation. It also includes the board's decision and order revoking Mr. Habermann's chiropractic license effective November 7, 2003, and attaching the underlying accusation as well as 2 supplemental pleadings. I'd ask that you admit it in evidence.
All right. The petition packet has been marked as Exhibit 1 and will be received in evidence. And then there was an additional, you want to discuss?
So Mr. Habermann also brought with him this morning an additional submission. It's a 5-page document. Copies have been provided to all of the board members. You may want, I'll leave it up to you. You may want to combine it with Exhibit 1, or you can mark and admit it separately as you see fit.
Okay. I've marked it as Exhibit 2. Exhibit 2 will be received in evidence.
Thank you. Mr. Habermann was issued his chiropractic license in 1982. After nearly 20 years of practice, an accusation was filed in May 2001 alleging unprofessional conduct arising out of two causes: Dr. Habermann's 1999 conviction for driving under the influence of alcohol and marijuana, and Dr. Habermann's failure to supervise his Costa Mesa practice, which was being used for prostitution between late 1998 and March 2000, as revealed through undercover investigation by Costa Mesa police. In November 2001, a supplemental accusation was filed alleging further unprofessional conduct based on undercover investigation by Downey, D-O-W-N-E-Y. Police established that Mr. Habermann's Downey chiropractic practice was also being used for prostitution. In January 2003, a second supplemental accusation was filed based on another DUI for which Dr. Habermann was convicted in April 2002, and on a Stanton, S-T-A-N-T-O-N, police undercover investigation in 2001 and 2002 establishing that Mr. Habermann's Stanton satellite office was also being used for prostitution. Mr. Habermann contested the accusations and the case went to hearing before an administrative law judge. The ALJ found that Mr. Habermann was a recovering alcoholic, and although he was working hard on his recovery, that Mr. Habermann blamed most of his problems on business associates and claimed naivete about the use of his businesses as a front for prostitution, suggesting that he was being taken advantage of. The ALJ concluded that Mr. Habermann had just begun the rehabilitation process and had not reached the point where it could be said that the public safety would not be adversely affected by his continued licensure. Effective November 7, 2003, the board adopted the ALJ's proposed decision revoking Mr. Habermann's chiropractic license and ordering him to pay the board's investigation and prosecution costs in the amount of $13,370 at such time and in such manner as the board in its discretion may direct. Nearly 9 years later, in July 2012, Mr. Habermann made his first unsuccessful petition to the board for reinstatement. In its decision denying the petition, the board acknowledged that Mr. Habermann had taken important and positive steps to address his alcoholism. Nevertheless, the board cited the fact that it is the petitioner's burden to demonstrate his rehabilitation by clear and convincing evidence, and found that Mr. Habermann had yet to acknowledge full responsibility for his personal role in the use of his chiropractic offices as fronts for prostitution. As such, the board concluded it was not in the public interest to grant his petition for reinstatement. In its decision, the board asserted that Mr. Habermann needed to demonstrate an understanding and greater familiarity with the laws and regulations relating to appropriate chiropractic business practices and continuing education, including an ethics course. He was also encouraged to obtain additional clinical work experience in a chiropractic setting, possibly including observing clinical evaluations of patients in order to sharpen his clinical skills. The board's decision and order denying Mr. Habermann's first petition for reinstatement became effective September 12, 2012. Mr. Habermann appears before the board again today seeking reinstatement. In support of his petition, he submitted 3 letters from licensed chiropractors attesting to his rehabilitation and strong clinical knowledge and skills. For reasons that are not clear from the petition packet, 2 of these letters date from 2015 and 1 from 2016. I do believe in the new documents that Mr. Habermann submitted this morning, there is at least one updated letter from one of those authors. Dr. Kelly, K-E-L-L-Y, Boschman, B-O-S-H-M-A-N, likened Mr. Habermann's recovery to watching him come back from the dead. Dr. George Deljunko, Deljunco, describes Mr. Habermann's continued growth, humility, and caring nature, and praises his clinical knowledge of diagnoses and adjusting technique. Dr. Dan Snavely, Snavely, commends Dr. Habermann for the long road that he's traveled since 2001 to recover his sobriety and restore his relationships, and describes his chiropractic skills as unsurpassable. Also included in the petition packet is a letter from a pastor with Teen Challenge, which I believe is the Christian Recovery and Rehab Center where Dr. Habermann enrolled in 2010. The packet also includes a letter from Craig Christensen, the bishop of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Provo, Utah, where Mr. Habermann lived while caring for his terminally ill sister in mid-2015 to mid-2016. Mr. Christensen commends Mr. Habermann on his care for his sister as she was dying and his membership in the community while living in Provo. The bulk of the supporting documentation comprises what appear to be handwritten notes summarizing chiropractic courses and articles. Mr. Habermann submitted a list of webinars completed mostly during 2015, as well as some articles, newsletters, and books. There are several certificates of completion of 12-hour courses. The most recent of these in the packet date from August and September 2017 and cover a variety of chiropractic subjects, including ethics and the law. I believe that we have a more recent certificate of completion of 12 hours of coursework that Mr. Habermann submitted this morning. Finally, the packet includes a live scan request that appears to indicate it was completed in July 2016. Mr. Habermann writes that he has done his best to atone for his transgressions. He claims to have fully recognized the errors of his ways and guarantees that he will make the board proud if it reinstates his license. More than 6 years after his last appearance before the board, Mr. Habermann seeks reinstatement.
Thank you, Ms. Rast. All right, Mr. Habermann, would you rise and I'll put you on oath and you can testify for the board? You solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that your testimony in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. I just ask that you speak clearly and loudly. We do have a court reporter here who's taking everything down, and we all want to hear what you have to say. And also, since the board members just received your most recent submission, you might want to reference that information as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good morning, good morning. Obviously, I'm really nervous, and I want to thank you for, that was very clear. Everything you said, that was all what I could have said.
Thank you.
What I could have said. And then I'll talk about those few little letters, those little extras that I added there. I took some notes, and so I knew I'd be nervous, and I didn't want to get off track. First, I really want to thank you for this opportunity once again from 6 years ago. And I definitely want to start off by saying I am sorry. I am sincerely apologetic, and I'm apologizing again today. And then I sincerely want to apologize to the board and our profession for what I've done. I want to take full responsibility for my actions, 100% from day one until today. Bad judgment, bad choices. And that was 15 years ago. Also, I spent the last 6 years since the last appearance here, and I keep that book, and you talked about some of the things. You're doing a good job, but. So I tried to address those buts. So for the past 6 years, I've been attending seminars, auditing classes. One of the board members mentioned you didn't study that much, but you can go online and find these things. So it was really easy to find webinars, auditing classes, and working with my colleagues that are still my friends to this day. Definitely observing my docs and my pals in their office, Dr. Snavely, one of my best friends, Dr. Scherer in Anaheim, Dr. Deljunco. They always welcome me in, and I love working with them and watching them do their chiropractic, and obviously the examinations. And I want to say that I'm a changed man. And I want to say one day at a time. One day at a time. That's the fact. My activities right now, especially over the last 3 years and change, I live with Ken, and you'll see he wrote a letter, Ken Stoll. I met him at Teen Challenge 7 years ago. He always invited me to stay at his house. I've been staying there technically for the last 3 years. He's our worship leader at Storm Shelter Church. And we have 3 horses there on the property. We have food giveaway the second and fourth Saturdays, which I help with. And there's a letter from Patty there. We help the homeless and the drug addicts. This is one thing that it's definitely very much touched my heart, whether it's someone on the ground in 7-Eleven outside or other people. We will talk to them, ask them if they're ready to get off the street. And then I like to say Teen Challenge was great. Teen Challenge is a great place. But we work with Set Free, Homes of Promise, Living Word, and a lot of others. And we can get people in tonight. And there's never any fee, and they can leave tomorrow if they want. But if they're ready, we have resources to help them, and love doing that. Pretty much I want to say I'm sorry, and I look forward to the opportunity for a chance to get my reinstatement of my license.
All right, thank you. And did you want to make any comments about your new materials?
They include a letter from Dr. Snavely again. He's I've never left his side and vice versa, especially for the past 6 years. Ken is who I live with, and his family's 2 girls. In the last 3 years, I've lived at the church for 4 months when I came back from helping my sister in Utah, and then also I went to New York. My ex-father-in-law was passing away. Went to New York and helped him the last few months of his life. And then I stayed in the church for 7 months. They like when I stay there because they need a caretaker. There is no caretaker. So we have 3 horses. I can clean the church and I can help out. But basically for the past 3 years, I've lived at Ken's. And then I took a seminar last week or 2 weeks ago with Dr. Porteous's, get some current hours in, and it was a great seminar.
All right, thank you. Ms.
Thank
Rouse,
you.
do you have any questions?
I do have a few, Your Honor. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Habermann. So I understand that your focus for today's hearing may have been on addressing those weaknesses that the board identified following your last unsuccessful petition for reinstatement, right?
Yes.
And this petition may not have focused as much on your sobriety and recovery as your petition did 6 years ago.
Okay.
So what is the status of your sobriety today?
I live a sober life. And we teach, especially a great thing to learn is forget about the past. Everybody comes in with war stories. At Teen Challenge, you're not allowed to talk about war stories. And stay in present time consciousness. And so I'm focused on today. I try not to beat myself up yesterday. I look forward to the future, but one day at a time. I didn't know if I was going to say I have a 24-year-old daughter that's a heroin addict, and she's been in and out of rehab, and that's an epidemic. So we're trying to get her in this last week or so. But basically, every day, live a sober lifestyle. And I like to say serving is great. If you ever start getting to the, we call it like the pity potty, or pity story, self-pity, serve, go do something for someone else. So that's what I do every day.
So just like what's your weekly routine in terms of maintaining your sobriety? You still attend meetings?
I'm busy, absolutely. If not, my roommate, Ken, we go to Celebrate Recovery, he sings. Like when I get back right now, we have a camp meeting at church. It's an annual. My buddy's actually bringing over a hay wagon. So as soon as I get back, I'm working getting that ready for Friday. And then Saturday will be the Sunday. Monday, I like to say, is landscape day. Where I live, I do the lawn front and back to help Dory, who loves her lawn. Wednesdays, we have Bible study at night. Fridays, we have prayer meeting at crack of dawn at another church in Altaloma. I have a friend of mine who's just got the contract for the carriage rides in Riverside. So the other day I was out there shoveling the stalls out. And I do it just to help. So I'm busy. I have a great support group. I want to say they're mostly meth addicts that we see and work with. My ex-roommate is an ex-meth addict. My pastor is an ex-meth addict. It's common, but it's what I do.
So how many years sober do you have at this point?
I used to say back from 2010, and then I went to Utah, but 20 years, 15 years.
Okay. Do you have a sobriety date that you count from?
No, and we try not to do that. I know that sounds silly because people say, yeah, it's my date. But a lot of people fall. And it becomes a negative at that point. Tell them, hey, it's a new day. You did your drug yesterday. You take it right back into rehab and start fresh.
Have you experienced relapses in recent years?
No. I want to say the best thing that's happened to me is being around the Teen Challenge friends that I have. Ralph Joseph is on a letter there. He was the only person that was going to come with me today, and I thought that was a great idea. He's in radiation for prostate cancer, so he couldn't come.
I was wondering if you could just explain some of these certificates of completion of coursework. It looks like you've taken ethics and the law numerous times, and are you just duplicating this stuff, or?
No, not at all. And I went online to try to find different classes in different little there's 2 hours here, 2 hours there. They are similar, and I even read a great book, and it was about euthanasia and the ethics that's going on right now with medical doctors in euthanasia. So regardless if you're an attorney or you're a medical doctor or you're a chiropractor, the ethics umbrella might be similar for to be a moral person. But then you have to bring in euthanasia. So I read that book.
I wanted to ask you a question about how you addressed a concern that the board had from your, I need to find it. Your Honor, I should also say that I noticed that the petition packet was missing 2 pages. So in the packet, at page 363, the board's decision denying Mr. Habermann's last petition for reinstatement appears, but it only has every other page. So
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Actually, we received the other pages at the beginning of the day today,
okay,
and I have them if you need them.
okay, great. Well, I have copies. I just wanted to make sure the board members know that those missing pages are there, pages 2 and 4. And at page 4, paragraph 10, the board commented, Mr. Habermann, that petitioner, meaning you, had a role in what were serious offenses substantially related to the practice of chiropractic. He has taken important steps towards rehabilitation. However, he has yet to accept full personal responsibility for having these sexual activities occur on his chiropractic business premises. Until this occurs, the board is not prepared to give positive consideration to reinstatement of his license. And my question is, what can the board point to in the evidence that you're presenting today that reflects your acceptance of fuller personal responsibility for the illegal sexual activities that occurred on your premises and on what should have been on your watch?
Exactly. That thoughtlessness and looking back on the naivete and the way that I said from day one, I think that's so wrong what I said, because anything you do, you know what you do. And so by me saying, oh, I didn't know in the beginning what was happening until I saw, and then I look at that and it looks so ridiculous that I say that now. And absolutely, I take responsibility from day one, from going to that clinic, the first time I ever saw it. Looking back on it now, no one in their right mind would not just say what they thought they saw. So, absolutely.
So, how did you get here, where you are today, from there, where you were 6 years ago? What was the process?
Well, besides being clear-minded, it's so obvious that when you go into a chiropractic office, it looks like a chiropractic office. And when you go into a massage parlor, it looks like a massage parlor. So that's, let's just say, idea one. And if you notice, in the beginning, I was saying that I didn't know what was going on there. That's a ridiculous comment. So I apologize for that. And like I said, I want to say clear thinking. I don't think like I used to think that long ago.
Is there any manner in which you want to distinguish your petition today from your last attempt at reinstatement, other than what you just said?
Just absolutely that I know that I knew what I was doing, and I was wrong, and I am sorry. I love the people in my life right now, my support, my ex-wife, my kids. People are still by my side, and I'm confident. I want to say in my day is going to be a big day today and every day, but one day at a time is important, and serving is important. As we serve as doctors, serving anybody is a good thing.
Were the board to reinstate your license on probation, have you thought about what it is you might want to do?
Where I'd like to practice, or what would I like to do for the board? Number one is Dr. Boschman, Kelly Boschman. He's in San Capistrano. I know him for 30, 40 years. He's actually friends with my ex-wife's husband. But coincidentally, he was working with us in our office in San Juan. He's welcomed me into his office to work with him. I think it would be a great location because I get to be with someone that has been in practice for 30 years. And I know him, he knows me, and he's welcomed me in. And that's my idea.
How many years altogether now has it been since you practiced chiropractic?
Yesterday was 15 years to the day.
And would you be willing to take a refresher course or any other requirements that the
Anything
board?
the board wants, I would be more than glad and appreciate to do.
Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to give board members an opportunity to ask questions. Nothing further.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll turn to board member questions. Dr. Dane, did you have any questions?
I do not have any questions.
All right. Dr. Azzolino?
I do. Good morning, Mr. Habermann. I distinctly remember your testimony 6 years ago. And unfortunately, I'm still not reassured, despite the questions by the Attorney General here, Deputy Attorney General, on what assurances you could give us that you've actually learned from what occurred, besides what a chiropractic office looks like in a massage office and how they are distinctly different. Have you done any rehabilitative efforts or engaged in any rehabilitative efforts around sexual trafficking or sexual crimes or anything of the sort?
Well, I'm familiar with the massage business. I want to say I'm an expert on what's going on out there. I remember us talking last time in the board about massage therapists in your office and how important vetting is and getting to know people. Like any other business, I remember the other day at Dr. Porteous' ethics class, they talked about a doctor that bought the office and was hiring the person that didn't have a license because the other doctor had him hired. So the new doctor came in, bought the office, and found out that he was having a non-licensed doctor work for him. Things like that really enlightened me in the fact that you got to vet, you have to research. You don't really know who you're dealing with. And so I've come a long way as far as...
So I'm sorry, maybe I wasn't clear. Have you engaged in any specific rehabilitative measures based around sex trafficking, sexual crimes, or anything of the sort?
Just that I know about the massage business and how the Koreans, this Korean business I got in after coming back from Korea. I would say
Okay.
just my personal...
Another question regarding your tax temporary deferral notice here. What payments have you made besides $52, $86, and $171 on a $234,000 balance? Are there any additional payments that you've made?
No, I haven't made any payments. Those payments must be coming out of my paychecks. 15 years ago, when I lost the license, I contacted the X-ray board, the taxes, etc. And then I was homeless for a long time. Teen Challenge for 18 months. You don't work there. When I called the state, they said when I am able to pay and I get my, I guess, chiropractic license, because they wanted to, obviously wanted to make the payment plan, I forget the word. So then I called them again several times, and they just told me I'm uncollectible. They never come to my jobs, any jobs that I've had where they take taxes out, they've never come to take the money out of that, put a lien on that or whatever. And then I kept in touch with them throughout the whole time. And then when I sent the paperwork in, you'll see that date's pretty recent. Again, they said, you're a hardship case, and we're going to give you a year. And at that time, obviously, I don't know if I'm getting my license back or not, but offer and compromise is what they'll be willing to offer me at that time. But right now, I guess they just gave me a year as waiting period.
Okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
All right, thank you. Dr.
I have no questions.
All right. Dr. McLean?
I have a couple. Good morning.
Good morning.
I noticed in the petition you mentioned that you worked with a couple of longtime friends. Can you tell me what capacity are you currently working with them, and in what capacity?
No, I haven't worked at a chiropractic office ever. Never. So if I said working at all, I will observe Dr. Del Junco, Dr. Boschman, Dr. Snavely, Dr. Scher.
So, I'm sorry, just for
I'm sorry.
clarification, you're
Yeah.
saying you never worked with?
No.
Okay. So this is misrepresented here in this petitioner's packet. This is not correct.
Who does it say I worked with?
Longtime friends and chiropractors, Dr. George Del Junco
Right.
and Dan Snavely.
Right.
Never worked with
No.
them. What are your plans if you were reinstated to begin working? Do you have any other opportunities of people's offices that you could work in? Do you plan on opening your own? What are your plans?
My plan is to work in Dr. Boschman's office, which is an old address of Dr. Snavely, 3221 Camino Capistrano, B106. Dr. Snavely moved across the freeway, practicing with Dr. Nelson and the acupuncturist, to downsize his office. Dr. Boschman came in for another location in San Juan and moved into that Camino Capistrano. And he offered to bring me in. He has several associates that work several hours a week in there, and he offered for me to come in and be an associate there.
Okay. Additionally, you recently participated in a live or in-class seminar with Dr. Porteous, but prior to that, I don't see a live or in-class, in-person seminar since 2015. What have you done to keep your skills, your chiropractic skills, or do you feel that that's sufficient to keep your chiropractic skills?
No, I thought maybe I went in 16, but also I left the area. I mean, I heard the years on my sister. It's been 3 years, and then I have two of the people that passed away where I left town, and sometimes I was like the caretaker for whether my sister or my father-in-law. But whenever I was around a library, I would go to the library, and I took that advice from the board last time that you can go to the library and study. But in the general population, many times there's not my sister's a computer available over there. It wasn't. If it was available, I'd go find it.
So my question was, what do you feel that those few seminars were enough to keep your skills current, your practical skills as a chiropractor
Right.
current?
Right, I understand. I would say, Dr. Snavely, he's I want to say a straight chiropractor, only does the spine. And then I have Dr. Boschman, he does x-ray in his office and he does extremity work. And then I have, Dr. Scher in Anaheim, and he sells common water and a lot of vitamins. And I love the fact that, let's say my best 3 or 4 friends all practice differently. So I spent years.
How does that help your skills? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I used to really practice as a straight mixer. I ultrasound and muscle stim and a lot of adjusting. I do extremities, or I did extremities in those days. But to be around those doctors, I could see where I'm gonna maybe fit better than I did in those days. There's so many things that are available nutrition-wise, and since I've been studying, it's a fantastic world out there, and I'm excited about getting into that part of the world. Dr. Snavely is like I said, he just adjusts, where I really feel that Dr. Boschman, more of a mixer and using nutrition and some of the other things, and foot levelers and some things. So that's what I look forward to doing.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Rufino?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Habermann, I have a quick question, and I want to ask you about your answer on question number 2, which says, explain fully why you feel your license should be reinstated. And you concluded in your short statement, quote, I guarantee I will make you proud,
Amen.
unquote. Can you be a little more specific on how your guarantee, what do you envision, how you envision this guarantee, or how you envision to make us proud?
With a professional attitude, an honest attitude, correct morals, the way I live my life daily, minute by minute, and I'm proud to be a chiropractor. I love what we do. And by implementing my personality and my character today and what I've become, and I'm not what I was, but I'm not what I want to be. And every day I work on that. I start off my day at the sunrise, and I read the Word, and I stay focused.
Thank you. Good question.
Dr. Gordon, any questions?
I have one question. Good morning. I wanted to know, how do you plan, if your license was renewed, how would you plan your re-entry? Like your day by day, step by step? What would be your first steps in moving towards re-entry into the practice?
Okay. If I was licensed Monday morning, I dress for work. I built my practices. I'm a wrestling coach. I volunteer wrestling coach at Daniel Hills High School. I did for years. I joined the Kiwanis, and I go to Chamber of Commerce. So I plan on bringing back my practice one day at a time, one patient at a time. I love being around Dr. Boschman, so therefore when there are no patients for me, I'm in his office and getting back gradually into the profession.
So you would plan on opening an office?
No, I plan
You'll
on
work under
yes,
someone.
he offered to come in, that I can, I think he has 2 associates in there now. They're in and out several days a week, not full time. He's there full time 5.5 days a week. I plan on working Monday through Friday and Saturday mornings, and slowly but surely, God willing.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any further questions?
I have another question.
Yes.
There's the 3 doctors that you mentioned. Some of the letters have indicated that you go to their offices and observe. How often does that happen? When's the last time it happened?
I want to say probably days ago, a week ago, Dr. Snavely, I went to Dr. Snavely's office. I would say I see Dr. Snavely the most, probably over the past 6 months, 10 times, 15 times. Dr. George, likewise, he's in Los Angeles, and I saw him a lot last few months, weeks. Dr. Scher, I used to go there at least once a month. in Anaheim. I haven't been there in a few months.
How long do you spend in Dr. Snavely's office, and what happens when you're there?
Dr. Snavely's office, I could stay 2, 3, 4 hours. Dr. Sherry's office in Anaheim, 2, 3, 4 hours, no problem.
And what happens when you're there?
Just pretty much socialize and wait for patients to come in, and then I just observe the patients. And he just introduces me as an intern that I'm observing.
And you observe them treating patients?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And reports and some other things because they're so different. Dr. Sher gets blood tests pretty much of everybody. He sells the common water and a lot of vitamins. People come in that aren't even patients just to like do other things, get some vitamins, get some water. It's been great. It's been great.
Okay. Okay, hearing no further questions, then the hearing will be closed and that will be submitted. And thank you for coming today. Mr. Habermann, our court reporter, see her on your way out, okay? We're off the record.
All right, thank you again for this opportunity. Enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, I didn't actually get through all of these pages. I scanned those. Just at the top. But I'm going to resort to just selling one. We're going to go for
We're going to need to talk about stem cells.
want some.
How do we know?
Maybe
Did you hear about it?
Yeah, no, it's the more and more I'm seeing these where chiropractic offices are advertising stem cell machines. It's not
Slave.
Yeah, I know, but I just need to figure out what they can do in California.
How are they administering?
Yeah, that's what I'd like to
We can't pierce the skin. If they have an MD and they're doing it, it's one thing, but we can't do that.
Yeah, and that's the ones that I've heard about. It's almost like a separate thing they're doing. It's murky. What they're actually doing, because like they'll set it up as a separate business.
Before we start, I have a quick question for staff. Either Marcus or, on the previous petition that we just heard, the cover memo that comes from staff, I couldn't find it on my packet, and I was wondering if it was just me and
No.
when we just looked at it. Do you know, you guys have it?
Yeah.
You know which one I'm talking about, the cover memo that staff reviewed?
You're pulled up, you just pulled up.
You sure?
I have that. You're talking about this.
Yeah, this one was.
Okay, I'll let you keep that.
Thank you. It's my fault.
Not sure. You're not sure. Did you read all this? Did somebody suggest to them to start submitting every single thing? I've never. I think somebody has. Or not. I think somebody has.
Strab, are you ready? I am. All right, and we will go on the record in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of a revoked license filed by Judith Urdea. This is Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2018-09-1011, and board case number AC 2005-482. I will take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General, please.
Good morning, Your Honor. Leslie Brass, Deputy Attorney General with the Office of the Attorney General, appearing this morning pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Thank you. And good morning, Ms. Urdea. Good morning. I know you sat through the last hearing. Do you have any procedural questions before we get started?
No, I do not.
Okay, perfect. All right, as I mentioned earlier, the board is focused on your rehabilitation. I know you've given us quite a few documents about your rehabilitation. So we will begin by asking Ms. Brass to present the documents and her statements.
Thank you, Your Honor. I've provided to you the petition for reinstatement signed and dated December 20th, 2016, and hundreds of pages of supporting documentation. The packet also includes the board's decision and order after non-adoption revoking Ms. Urde's chiropractic license effective December 20th, 2006. Also included is the ALJ's non-adopted proposed decision and the underlying accusation. Additionally, Ms. Urde submitted 2 documents this morning. Copies have been provided to you and to the board. I'd ask that all of these be admitted in evidence.
Okay, thank you. I have marked the original petition packet and attachments as Exhibit 1. That will be received in evidence. The 2 additional documents that we received this morning have been marked as Exhibit 2, and those will be received as well.
Thank you. The board issued Dr. Ms. Urde her chiropractic license in January 1985. On September 17, 2004, Ms. Urde was convicted of having violated Penal Code Section 550B1, insurance fraud, for billing for services she didn't provide. She was placed on informal probation for 3 years, sentenced to 60 days in county jail or community service, and required to pay restitution. In May 2005, an accusation was filed based on Ms. Urde's conviction and conduct. It alleged 5 causes for discipline: conviction of a substantially related crime, moral turpitude and dishonesty, conviction for having committed an act of dishonesty, knowingly signing chiropractic documents making a false representation, and fraud or misrepresentation. Ms. Urde contested the accusation, and the case went to hearing before an administrative law judge. The ALJ found cause for discipline, but citing Ms. Urde's therapeutic treatment and extenuating circumstances surrounding the crime, determined that she had presented sufficient evidence of rehabilitation such that outright revocation was unnecessary to protect the public. Instead, the ALJ proposed an actual suspension and a 5-year term of probation. The board non-adopted the proposed decision in favor of outright revocation of Ms. Urde's license. Pursuant to Business and Professions Code Section 1003B, Ms. Urde was ordered not to petition the board for reinstatement of her revoked license for 10 years from December 20, 2006, the effective date of the decision. She was also ordered within 15 days of the effective date of the decision to pay the board its investigation and enforcement costs in the amount of $3,748.50. Ms. Urde appears this morning seeking reinstatement. Last month, she submitted a cashier's check to the board for $3,748.50 in satisfaction of the outstanding cost recovery order. The check was accompanied by a written statement detailing her recovery efforts, including her completion of over 200 hours of continuing education units, self-study, reading literature on a variety of chiropractic and related topics, and community service work, including but not limited to the community service hours that she completed in connection with her criminal case, for which she provided proof of completion. The petition packet is quite large, though the bulk of it consists of materials related to Ms. Erday's continuing education efforts. The written statement is somewhat buried at page 644. Ms. Erday submitted 7 short letters from her therapist, Rudy Russell, R-U-S-S-E-L-L, MFT, confirming that Ms. Russell has been seeing Ms. Erday since 2006. A recent longer letter from Ms. Russell at page 697 describes Ms. Erday's transformation over the 10 years that they've worked together. Initially, Ms. Russell notes that Ms. Erday was clinically depressed and suffering from battered women syndrome and PTSD, which Ms. Russell describes as mitigating circumstances. Over the years, Ms. Russell says they've worked together to create support systems, healthy relationships, and develop methods for quickly addressing self-sabotaging behavior. Ms. Russell reports that Ms. Erday has recovered from the conditions that contributed to the loss of healthy boundaries and ethics, and in light of Ms. Erday's personal growth, Ms. Russell believes it unlikely that Ms. Erday would be dishonest again. In support of her petition, Ms. Erday also submitted 10 letters written between 2010 and 2015 from friends, former clients, a former colleague, and her daughter, for whom she provided child care. Most of the authors indicate their knowledge of Ms. Erday's misconduct and commend her for her forthrightness, her caring, her energy, and perseverance with regard to regaining her chiropractic license. Additionally, Ms. Erday submitted another 15 letters dated in September or October 2018 from a variety of people, employers and business associates, former chiropractic clients, Bible study friend, her brothers, her sister-in-law, and people for whom she has provided care or personal training. These recent letters are found starting at page 674 and generally attest to her decency, generosity, transparency about her misconduct and loss of her license, and her introspection and self-improvement in its aftermath. Nearly 12 years since her license was revoked, Ms. Erday seeks reinstatement.
All right, thank you. Ms. Erday, would you stand and be sworn?
Excuse me.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that your testimony in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
May I read a statement to the board?
Sure.
I am here today to ask for the board's forgiveness.
And I'm sorry, one cautionary note, though. We do have our court reporter here who's trying to get down every word you say. And when we read, we tend to read more quickly than we speak.
Right.
So that she can get everything down. If you read it slowly, that would be helpful to us.
Thank you for reminding me, because I've read it a lot of times. You haven't heard it at all. I sincerely apologize to the California Board of Chiropractic Examiners, the chiropractic profession, to my patients and the public for my actions 16 years ago that brings us to this hearing. I continue to take full responsibility for charging for services not rendered to the Field family in 2002. I realize I was wrong and disrespectful in my actions. I have reimbursed the insurance company the full amount of $2,655 that I overbilled my patients. I no longer sustain any criminal charges as of October 1st, 2013, when I was granted relief under Penalty Code 1203.4 and 1203.4A, which dismissed my accusatory filing. I have obeyed my order by the board not to practice chiropractic for 10 years as of December 20th, 2016, and continue not to practice chiropractic. Copies
of the court order from the Orange County Superior Court is found in Section 1 of my petition to the board. I have spent these subsequent years rehabilitating myself, specifically maintaining my professional skills and knowledge. My rehabilitation was twofold. First, ethics and decision-making, and second, attending continuing education, auditing chiropractic seminars, and studying books and chiropractic periodicals. I attended Orange Coast College in the spring of 2007 semester. I completed small business ownership and applied management courses. I went on to earn a certificate of achievement for completing the fitness specialist, health fitness instructor, personal trainer prescribed courses in the fall of 2008 with a GPA of 3.92. In the fall of 2016, I completed a computer information system course at Cypress College that polished my skills using all aspects of Microsoft Office 2010. Copies of my certificates of achievement and silver service, transcripts, and the letter notifying me that I was placed on the President's list for academic excellence are found in Section 6 of my petition. During my fitness education, I worked as a student sports trainer in the athletic training room, and I attended sporting events such as softball, volleyball, baseball, football, and soccer. I interned in the adaptive physical education program. I worked with stroke, cardiovascular disorders, accident disabilities, and the like in the rehabilitative recovery. I continue to work with private clients, providing them with rehabilitative, recovery, and exercise fitness. I also instruct them in their diet and lifestyles. I have a virtual business with the Juice Plus company where I share my story with others in an exciting community. My mentor, Lenora Bayless's character reference letter is found in Section 16. Upon this hearing, I have earned 219.3 hours of continuing education units. I most recently attended a qualified medical examiner seminar that concentrated on knowledge and skills related to medical and legal workmen's compensation, history taking, and physical examination procedures, ethics and law, as well as review of QME reports, which included a 124-question test demonstrating my skills and knowledge. I also attended a chronic pain seminar that improved my rehabilitative skills and knowledge, along with completing technique, x-ray, and philosophy hours, and an H.J. Ross insurance seminar. I plan on attending a DOT refresher seminar to ready myself to take the DOT exam. Dr. Brian Porteous allowed me to audit 4 additional seminars a year with a variety of instructors in technique, pediatrics, x-ray, philosophy, as well as ethics and law pro bono. My continuing education certificates can be found in sections 5 and 13. On October 18th, I completed 4 more hours of pediatric technique, which I handed you today. And I did CPR. I want the board to know that Dr. Porteous has mentored and consulted me in matters pertaining to the board, also pro bono, for the last 13 years. My ongoing study in 2017 and 2018 added another 178 pieces of literature that I have studied to maintain my professional skills and knowledge. Added to the 809 previously submitted totals, I have studied 987 in full. I have not accounted for those articles, internet searches, viewed board meetings, etc., that I perused. Support documentation will be found in Section 7 and 15 of my petition. My 12 years of psychotherapy documentation can be found in Section 17. There is a California jurat containing Judy Russell, MA, LMFT signature regarding her letter to the board dated October 8, 2018, followed by her detailed letter in which she attests to my recovery from the mitigating circumstances surrounding my unethical actions 16 years ago. There are 7 more letters she wrote from 2011 to 2016, on my behalf found in Section 10 of my petition. Through the years, I have committed myself to truth and reality. I learned to keep myself open to growth, instruction, and feedback. I take responsibility for myself and am respectful towards others. I remain empathetic and compassionate toward myself and others. I maintain my recovery and continue to grow with regular psychotherapy sessions. I am truly grateful for the 25 peer review and character letters from mentors, friends, family, and clients. I believe these letters are a testament to my state of mind and the changes I have made throughout these years since my revocation. They collectively show my efforts that has brought me to the assurance that I will never fall into such a lapse of judgment of which I was severely held accountable. These letters can be found in sections 11 and 13 of my petition. For the past 4.5 years, I have focused my community service and volunteer efforts through my church, Beach Cities Community Church in Huntington Beach. I currently volunteer in children's ministry. With Kathy Warren, DCS facilitator, I serve as co-facilitator in Stephen's ministry, also known as One-to-One Care. I serve with 40 ministers. We are trained to walk with people during tough times, providing confidential one-to-one Christian care. My church studies and Stephen's ministry training are found in section 19 of my petition. Finally, I am current on my payment installments to the Franchise Tax Board. Upon reinstatement of my license to active status to practice chiropractic in the state of California, I agree to the following. 1. Comply with the order of the decision which became effective on December 20th, 2006, and pay my recovery in full to the board in the amount of $3,748.50. A copy of the cashier's check is found in section 20 of my petition. I appreciate that there were no late fees or interest charges added. 2. I will use an outside billing service and electronic verification software. Olympic Chiropractic Billing Agreement is in Section 6, along with 2 proof of care at point of care, real-time visit verification software systems used by Solace Home Care, such as Kinzer and CanTime. These safeguards will prevent any inconsistencies in the future. I will also require my patient to sign, date, and record the time at the beginning of the visit. Then I will sign, date, and record the time at the end of the visit with the patient signing after me with their signature, date, time, and completion of the visit. I will join H.J. Ross Company's memberships with Chiro Digital Coding, HIPAA compliance to keep my practice safe, safeguard my patient's confidential information, and protect my reputation. And their insurance information network that gives me email access to Dr. Sam Collins, an expert in chiropractic billing. Support documentation can be found in section 18. Number 3, I will have my patients sign an authorization to exchange confidential information, authorizing me to exchange their chiropractic records regarding their treatment with the California Board of Chiropractic Examiners. This will simplify any request for my chiropractic records as stated in Rules and Regulations, Article 318. I respectfully request that the board remove my name from the Healthcare Integrity and Protection Data Bank due to the fact that as of October 1st, 2013, I was granted relief under Penalty Code 1203.4 and 1203.4A, which dismissed my accusatory filing. A copy of the adverse action report is in section 3 and 14 of my petition. I further request that the board respectfully remove my name from the global watch list. In closing, I pray that the 20 sections of documentation I have submitted herein demonstrate my competency, rehabilitation, repentance, and redemption for my actions 16 years ago. I humbly ask that my license be reinstated and restored to active status to practice chiropractic. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Bass, did you want to ask any questions?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, Ms. O'Day. It appears that you might have missed the questions in the box at the top of page 2 of the petition.
Where,
So if you turn to right after the first tab, you can find the petition itself.
the picture of me.
Yes.
Okay. What did I not answer?
And flip over to the second page.
Uh-huh.
You see that series of questions in the box?
Yeah.
It appears that you missed those.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yes, I guess I did.
Okay.
Or somehow it didn't get copied.
Well, let me ask you then, so
Okay.
we can get them on the record.
Okay.
The first one, I think we know the answer to. Have you ever been convicted of or pled no contest to a violation of law?
Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't say that loud enough. Yes.
Are you now on probation or parole for any crime or administrative violations in this or another state?
No.
Have you ever had a disciplinary action taken against any professional license?
This board.
Are you or have you ever been addicted to the use of narcotics or controlled substances?
No.
Are you or have you ever been habitually intemperate in the use of alcohol or other drugs?
No.
Have you ever been or are you currently under observation or treatment for mental disorders, alcoholism, or drug addiction?
I'm not sure how to answer that because I'm under psychotherapy, so, but it's not for a mental illness, so I guess no would be the answer to that.
Okay.
But I did suffer clinical depression, so I'm not sure how to answer that.
All right, so was that just an oversight on your part?
Yes, it was.
And board staff did not bring it to your attention?
No, they did not.
And just if you could wait until she's done with the question, then the record will be clear.
I'm sorry, thank you.
It's clear that you put a lot of energy into this, I guess, 12-year project, basically. I mean, obviously you hope to be reinstated. It's been a long time since you practiced as a chiropractor. What would you be willing to do to refresh your clinical skills?
Well, I've been refreshing my clinical skills through all of the seminars that I went to. And then I also read this fabulous book that's called Chiropractic Technique. It's 467 pages of what we do as chiropractors.
What about more of a hands-on sense?
Re-ask me the question.
Well, I don't actually know if a refresher course would provide opportunities for actual hands-on practice, but if such a thing exists, is that something you would be willing to do?
Yes.
Do you have any relationships with practicing chiropractors now?
Yes, I do.
And have you engaged in kind of professional mentoring in those relationships?
Yes, I have. Dr. Kathy Warren, she's going to teach me her technique in her clinic. And I, of course, consult with Dr. Porteous. And then I see Dr. Craig Clark and Dr. Adam Sandel as my chiropractors.
Okay, you mean as your personal?
My personal
chiropractors?
chiropractors, yeah.
And what do you, I mean, were the board to reinstate your license, would you be agreeable to participating in any conditions of probation that the board might impose?
Well, I guess I should. So yes.
That would be the right answer.
Yes, absolutely. Of course.
Okay, well, I'm sure the board members will have some questions for you, so we'll
Okay.
give that an opportunity. I did want to just mention, Your Honor, that the actual petition for dismissal and order granting dismissal of Ms. Yerday's conviction is found in pages 23 and 24 of the petition packet.
Thank you. Okay. Dr. Dane, did you have any questions?
Yeah.
Hi.
Right.
One of the answers to the questions that was asked, you said, I will use peer review mechanisms if allowed the privilege to practice chiropractic again. Can you explain what you mean by that?
If I went into someone else's office or practiced with that chiropractor, then they would be in peer review. Also using the chiropractic billing and Dr. Sam Collins, that's also review if I was going to do insurance.
As you're talking about second level review of what you're doing.
Yeah,
Okay.
like someone watching me.
So if you go into practice, you plan on working in someone else's office to begin with?
Well, I was going to look for someone else's office to practice it.
Okay. You mentioned Dr. Kathy Warren, and
Uh-huh.
she was going to teach you her technique. Like, does she have a special?
It's called emotional release technique,
Oh, okay.
which I haven't been exposed to that yet.
Okay. Okay. And then you say that you still see your therapist, Judy Russell,
Yes.
2011 to present. How often do you see her? When the
Once a
last
month.
time you saw her? Once a month.
And I just saw her Monday.
Okay. And the computer software that you talked about, to outsource your billing and to manage your patient, I don't remember what it was called, I'm sorry.
Oh, the point of care visit. That's software that the patient actually signs at the time of the end of the visit on the computer.
And have you looked into cost of that computer software?
But no, I actually haven't.
Okay. And if it is relatively expensive, what are your plans on implementing that?
Well, I discussed with Olympic Billing Service that I wanted to implement that, and he advised me that maybe they had that software also, and that if I contracted with them, then they would provide that software.
Through the outside biller?
Through the outside biller.
Okay.
So those signatures would go to the outside billing company.
Okay, I don't have any other questions, thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Azzolino?
I have no questions.
Dr. Lippman?
I have no question.
Okay, Dr. McLean?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Out of the 219 hours that you mentioned in continuing education, how many of those hours were in person or hands-on,
I would have to go and calculate.
approximately?
But according to our, the board, you have to do 24 a year. 12 have to be in present and 12 have to be outside. But most of them were in person.
Most of the, so maybe I missed something, because the last one that I noted, besides the ones that you've given today, of course, that you did in classroom, it looks like in 2014, am I incorrect?
I thought it was 2016. Certificate, sorry.
So,
Oh, there's.
you don't have to look it up. If it's 2016 still,
Yeah.
the question remains the same. Do you feel that your technique skills are sufficient enough by taking a class, in-person class once every couple of years?
Well, I took a lot of relicensing seminars, and they always had technique in them. And technique is an art with us. So I feel that going back into private practice, those skills are going to come back very easily.
Okay, I have nothing further.
All right, thank you. Mr. Puma?
No questions.
Dr. Gordon? No questions.
I have one, actually.
Dr. Azzolino?
Considering what your recent statement here, that technique's an art, and you have no concern that it's going to come back to you very quickly, what techniques were you practicing prior to losing your license?
Diversified and activator.
And are those the techniques that you plan on going back to?
Yes.
And have you taken any specific technique classes in regards to diversified or activator?
Well, all of the courses that I took had some kind of technique in them. The diversified was Dr. LeBeau. He actually taught me a good chiropractor all those years ago. And then the pediatric ones, too.
Have you been doing anything else in regards to maintaining kinesthetic skills with your hands or psychomotor skills in regards to examination or anything of the sort?
Well, when I have new clients in fitness, I use those skills there.
How do you use those there?
I assess them and do movement, see how their bodies move around, and then I assess what adaptive physical education I can do with them.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So hearing no further questions, then we will close the hearing. Thank
Your
you very
Your
much.
Honor,
Yes.
if I may be heard briefly in a procedural matter before the record's closed.
Certainly.
I noted that in some of the exhibits, there is the inadvertent disclosure of personally identifiable information that I would request be redacted. At page 634, there are social security numbers on tax forms. 635, there's a social security number on a tax form. 636, a social security number on a tax form. And 637, a social security number at 2 places on a tax form. At 642, there's the last 4 of a social security number on the base page of a bankruptcy petition. At 662, there's a date of birth and a social security number on an adverse action report. Finally, at 721, there's a bank routing number and bank account information. On an installment agreement. I would respectfully request that the information of a personally identifiable nature be redacted in the official copy of this hearing.
Thank you very much for that. I will take care of that. Okay, thank you. Then we will close the hearing at this time. We're off the record.
Jen.
Yeah.
I'll see him tomorrow in my office.
Back on the record, I'm calling the matter of the petition for reinstatement of a revoked license filed by Daniel Martello. This is Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 2018-09-1012, and board case number AC 2015-1034. May I take the appearance of the Deputy Attorney General, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Leslie Brass, Deputy Attorney General with the Office of the Attorney General, appearing this morning pursuant to Government Code Section 11522.
Okay, thank you. So this matter was noticed for hearing this morning at 9 a.m. It is now a little after 11 a.m. and Mr. Martello has not appeared. I have reviewed the notice of today's hearing. It was sent to Mr. Martello at his address at 86 Harriet in San Francisco, 94103. That letter was mailed on October 18th, 2018, and it advised him that the hearing on his petition would be heard today, November 8th, at 9 a.m. at the Executive Inn and Suites, Bayside Room 1755 Embarcadero, Oakland, California 94606. I will also note for the record that Mr. Martello did send a letter to the board in October 2018 in which he referenced today's date as the date of the hearing beginning today at 9 a.m. And in addition, on a letter dated November 1st was received by the board on November 5th asking for certain individuals from the Attorney General's office to be present and acknowledging that it was relatively short notice of the request due to the proximity to today's date. That request, by the way, was addressed by the presiding administrative law judge of the Oakland Office of Administrative Hearings yesterday, denying the request for specific individuals from the Attorney General's office to be present. I will make a finding at this time that Mr. Martello was properly served with notice of today's hearing and he has failed to appear. So the board's intention is to go forward with the hearing. And so at this time, Ms. Best, I will invite you to present the documents and make your statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. I provided you with the petition packet, including the petition for reinstatement signed and dated April 19th, 2017. The packet also includes two board decisions. It includes the board's default decision and order revoking Mr. Martello's chiropractic license effective June 3rd, 1995, and attaching the preceding petition to revoke probation, stipulated settlement placing his license on probation, and the underlying accusation. And it contains a decision and order denying Mr. Martello's first 2015 petition for reinstatement. I'd ask that you admit it in evidence.
Okay, I've marked those documents as Exhibit 1, and they will be received in evidence. I'm also going to mark as Exhibit 2 the letter received on November 5th from Mr. Martello, along with the letter from the Office of Administrative Hearings denying his request. And I will be adding to the record later on today a copy of the notice of hearing for today's hearing. So Exhibit number 2, Mr. Martello's request dated November 1, and the response from presiding administrative law judge Benjamin, that will be received as Exhibit 2, and the notice of hearing for today's date will be marked as Exhibit 3 and received in evidence.
The board issued Mr. Martello his chiropractic license in 1986. In 1985, an accusation was filed alleging that in April 1990, Mr. Martello attempted to pass as genuine a false prescription for Anavar, A-N-A-V-A-R, an anabolic steroid and Schedule III controlled substance. The accusation also alleged that Mr. Martello had a hypodermic needle and syringe in his possession. In resolution of the accusation, Mr. Martello entered into a stipulated settlement for a 3-year term of probation under conditions including that he undergo a psychiatric evaluation. He was also ordered to reimburse the board its investigative costs in the amount of $600. The board adopted the stipulated settlement effective April 17, 1993. Less than 2 years later, in February 1995, a petition to revoke that probation was filed alleging that Mr. Martello failed to undergo psychiatric evaluation and other probation violations. Mr. Martello failed to file a notice of defense, and his license was revoked by default effective June 3, 1995. A little more than 3 years later, in September 2014, Mr. Martello petitioned the board for reinstatement. In his extensive written statement and in his testimony, the board found that Mr. Martello's energies were spent blaming the board and others for his circumstances rather than proving his fitness for licensure. The board concluded that it would not be in the public interest to reinstate Mr. Martello's license, and the petition is denied effective October 9, 2015. Incidentally, on December 1st, 2015, the board received reimbursement from Mr. Martello of the $600 cost recovery as a condition of the 1993 stipulated settlement of the accusation. This is Mr. Martello's, or this hearing was set for Mr. Martello's, the hearing of his second petition for reinstatement. The only evidence of rehabilitation the petition packet contains is an October 11, 2018 letter from the general manager of Flywheel Taxi confirming that Mr. Martello has been leasing a cab for 5 years. The letter commends him as thoughtful, conscientious, and describes him as an excellent driver. Otherwise, the packet contains just the petition and 2 pages of very short handwritten responses to questions posed in the petition. Notably, Mr. Martello answered no to the 3 questions near the top of page 2, denying that he was ever addicted to narcotics or controlled substances, ever habitually used alcohol or other drugs, or ever been treated for mental disorders, alcoholism, or drug addiction. Yet in his 2014 petition, Mr. Martello answered yes to the very same questions. In light of the absence of meaningful evidence of rehabilitation and his failure to appear at today's hearing, it does not appear that Mr. Martello has met his burden to demonstrate his rehabilitation.
Okay, thank you. Do any of the board members have a question for the Deputy Attorney General? Okay, then since Mr. Martello has failed to appear and is not here, we will close the hearing at this time. We'll go off the record. Okay, so at this time, the board is going to go into closed session, so we'll take a break so that the room can be clear.